Hi guys, and welcome back to the Iron Personal Training YouTube channel. We're back with a video today where we're going to go over the 2024 UK Powerlifting Games that I took part in last week. Well, last week in terms of recording this. Anyway, so a little bit of context leading up to this competition. So at the start of this year, start of like the powerlifting season year, the BPU decided to put up all of the totals to qualify for Brits, which realistically was a very sensible decision from them, because the Brits were getting ridiculous and there was a big divide between the top people and the people who were just kind of sneaking through. Now, where I was for the first 2 years of my powerlifting career was I was in that bottom bit just sneaking through. So the qualifiers for the 110s, which is where I was competing at the last couple of years and the start of this year as well, was 620. Now for me, I could basically just hit that in my first 2 years of my powerlifting without really having to improve or really having to do anything else. So with them putting the qualifying totals up this year, it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to my powerlifting career, because it meant that I had to go out and work harder. And we'll come to a bit more context on that in a minute. But what they also introduced was something called the Powerlifting Games, which was basically designed to be a stepping stone up to Brits, or that like just under Brits quality, but still of like a decent quality. So you still had to qualify for it. So at the start of the year, I competed in March and I competed pretty well. I got a total PB, so my best PB before total had been 622.5. So as you can see, it is literally just scraping through into that Brits, and that's actually what I'd hit at Brits the year before, where I had a terrible performance. I got 1 squat, 1 bench and 2 deadlifts, and it was just shocking. Which is the only way to put it, really. It was a shocking performance. But from that performance and the totals going up, I've learned so much. So really, it's one of the best things that happened in my powerlifting career, because I knew I had to improve and I knew I had to push to get these higher totals. So in March, I missed the qualifications for Brits, which had gone up to 660. So I missed by 17.5 kilos, but did qualify for the Powerlifting Games, where the qualifying total was somewhere in the 500, so much lower than it was for the Brits. So qualified for Powerlifting Games. Now, Powerlifting Games was my second full power comp of the year, which was fantastic because it meant that I had a good long off-season leading into this competition, which is something that I've not had in other years, where things have seemed much closer. And for anybody who's watched my training, you know how I structure my training has changed. We start off now with a lot of very high volume training, doing sets of 12, sets of 10, sets of 8, 6 sixes, 5 fives, whereas before, we wouldn't have anywhere near that volume, which has been a really good way of building the base for that pyramid, so that the peak of my performances are much higher. The other comps I've done this year as well, just a bit of context, was single lift Brits, which qualified me for Wales, single lifts, which I also did in Ireland, where I came second in that competition. But the Powerlifting Games was one that I really wanted to focus on and really wanted to do well in. Just a little bit more context as well. When I did my Worlds, as anybody who's seen the video about my performance at Worlds, which if you do are interested in, go and watch. In that competition, and because of how I've changed my training, my weight has gone up and up because I've built quite a lot more muscle. If you look at how I looked before that and then how I look now, I look much more defined and look much more muscular. Cutting weight was really hard, and I actually had to lose 1.6 kilos on the day for Worlds. So I decided, and it was something that I think I'd already decided I was going to do, to go up to the 125s for Powerlifting Games. Now this had a massively positive effect on my lead up to the competition. Usually in the lead up to the competition, because I'm having to change how I eat, I'm really having to think about things. It can be quite stressful, and it can be quite, it builds quite a lot of anxiety, I'd say, going into the competition, because you're constantly thinking about it in the back of your head. With this comp, however, because I was going up a weight category, and because I was sitting somewhere between like the 115, 117 kilo mark, when the top limit is 125, I didn't really have to think about it. And that week leading up to the competition, I didn't feel like I was competing at the weekend. There was no worry, there was no stress, there was no anxiety. It was just a feeling of enjoyment and looking forward to going to this competition. But it felt like I was going to go and do like a big gym session. It didn't feel like that pressure was on me. And that had a massively positive effect. Like I was sat before the competition started, there was the first flight, which was the lightest guys, that somebody from SSBC was competing in, watching that, and everyone was like, you look really relaxed. And like, I've never felt so relaxed going to a competition. I just felt so relaxed. I just knew that I had it in me, and I knew that I could do it, basically, which was a really nice feeling. I just felt calm. I just felt really relaxed going into it. But when I needed to, for the top lifts, I was able to switch it on. And I was able to switch it on well and then dial it back off again, which meant that I wasn't wasting energy, which again just had a massively positive effect. And that's something that I've really had to learn. In previous competitions, I've been stressed, I've been worried, and you just don't perform well when you're like that. So that was a massively positive thing. So when we did weigh in, the day before the competition, weighed at 117.5, very happy with that. Put me in a good place, you know. And this is the kind of weight I want to sit round to, maybe push it up to maybe like 120 for a bit by building muscle, not by putting on fat basically, which I don't feel like I've done. Like I say, when I look at myself and I put on the weight, I don't feel like it's around my belly or there's much higher fat percentage. There's obviously probably a little bit, but I feel like the majority of it is muscle, which is really good. So we got there and we started off with squats. The first thing to say about squats is a massive thanks to Ed Holt, who also trains at our gym, who did rapid of my knees, which was really helpful. And again, just takes a lot of stress off the situation. So he opened up with 122.5, heaviest opening I've ever done in a competition. Here's the video.
Good leg.
As you can see, that moved really easily and felt like a nice easy opener. So I went to 232.5, which would have been a comp PB, and matching my lifetime PB squat. So here's the video for that.
It was the 125 kilos biggest total of the front, and if you get the total, then many things can happen for that.
Now, as you can see, this squat moved really well, but I did miss the start command. I think you can see as I go down, I can tell that I've missed the start command. And I'm like, oh, God, but still do it anyway. Initially, it was 2-to-1. So I got 2 whites and 1 red. Obviously over 10 because I missed the command, which was the right call. Stupid thing to do. Decided to still go up for 240 because the squat moved so nicely, like it felt so good. So came out for 240, here's the video.
Very, very hard work. 7.5 kilo between the top 2 guys and 135. Every kilo will come from the game. Come knock in. Come on, baby. Yeah. Rest the kilos on the board.
As you can see, 240 moved really, really well. I think I might have actually had 250 on the day, maybe. But very happy with 240, lifetime PB, 7.5 kilo lifetime PB. Never had 240 on my back. So yeah, just super happy with how that felt, super happy. As you can see from the video of the celebrating, if it's in the video that I decide to put in, but there was quite a bit of celebrating. But yeah, really happy with how that moved. You know, there was a time, and this is going to be kind of like a running theme, in the 23 season, so last season, there were times when I thought some things weren't ever going to improve. I tried a 225 squat at Brits once, because I had to redo my opener and failed it. I wasn't even close. So to be hitting 240 this year, it just feels magical, and it really invigorates that love of the sport again. And knowing that the changes I've made to my training have had a massively positive effect on how things are going. Yeah, like I say, really good, really happy. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th heaviest squat of the day, which I'll take every day of the week. And like I say, with more in the tank as well, so plenty more to come. And we'll talk about next comps at the end of the video and what I think I might be able to hit. But yeah, then we obviously went on to bench. Now, bench, for everybody who knows, is my favourite lift. And I was looking for that elusive 180 in competition, which I still think I would have been able to hit worlds if it wasn't for having to do the massive weight cut on the day before the competition, where I was sat in a sauna for like 40 minutes beforehand. So I was really confident doing it today. Slightly heavier in competition, not having to cut, I was confident. And again, that calmness, but excitement and confidence was there going into the bench press. So warm-ups felt really good. I was last out on bench, first time I've ever been last out in a competition, which felt quite good again. Opened on 167.5. Here's the video. As you can see, flew easy, really nice opener. Went to 175 for the next one, which would be a full power comp PB. And here's the video for that.
Come on, legs.
As you can see, it hit nicely again. And at this point, I was confident for that 180. And this is where I started to turn things on. And that's what I should have said about the squat as well, actually, is that for the first two, I was so confident in hitting them, I didn't really need to switch that switch and switch on and do it. But for that last one, I did. And my third squat probably moved the best out of all three of them. Did it again for the bench. Went to that place where you need to go to be able to hit these weights. Calm, relaxed, but confident and ready to go. And came out. Here's the video.
Yes! Loaded dishes as well as needing it to stay in 26.
Come on, boys!
Everything you've got, Eddie, come on.
See, I hit it, and honestly, over the moon. Like, it's taken me 3 years basically of trying to hit this, 3 years, and to have come this far and it taken this long to hit it just makes it feel all the better, you know, that I've not given up, that I've kept striving, changed things. I know what I've done to improve my bench, and to finally hit it, it just feels fantastic. Feels like all the hard work's paid off, and I think I hit it comfortably as well. I think I hit it with more in the tank in a single lift competition for sure. I think like 185, 190, maybe even 195 isn't too far away. But I also know how long it's taken me to hit this 180, and that quick success isn't necessarily always guaranteed. But I've talked in my last video about conquering a weight, and I feel like I've conquered that 180 now. I've hit it twice in the training leading up to this comp. I've hit it in this comp comfortably. And I just think I've conquered it now. I think I could just hit 180 pretty much whenever now, which I'm really happy about. One thing I love about the video that's just been on as well is the way Callie, who runs the BPU, co-runs it with Emma, gives me a lovely improved look as I walk off celebrating. He's obviously, for anybody who knows, he's a massive bencher. He's benched 501, I think it is, or 502.5 in a unlimited shirt. So nice to get that appreciation from him. And then for the rest of the day, he called me the bench monster, which was really nice. Good confident boost there as well. And then we came on to the deadlift. So deadlift, if anyone knows, is usually my weakest lift, I think it's safe to say. You know, I've had deadlifts go okay, and I've had deadlifts go really badly. So going into the deadlifts, I'm usually quite nervous or not sure what I'm going to do. But this time I was sure. I was locked in. I was sure. So he opened at 235 kilos. And here's the video for that. So this got 3 red lights because I rocked at the top of the movement. So obviously downward movement. Again, correct call. No arguments for me on there. But I think what it was is as it came back, I pulled back too far and kind of like overcorrected. So the bar dipped and then came back up again. Because I think, in all honesty, I think it was maybe too much. It was too light of an opener, which led to that. But I was really confident that I would get the 247.5. So I went for the 247.5, which was going to be a full power comp PB. And here's the video for that.
247.5.
So as you can see, it moves so nicely. So for those of you who don't know, for my deadlifts, I've changed my stance. So I've come slightly wider with the stance and a slightly wider grip as well. A bit more like a strongman style deadlift in a lot of ways, a bit like Brian Shaw deadlifts, obviously not as extreme as how Brian Shaw deadlifts in that wide stance, but it's had a massively positive effect. I've also stood a bit further away from the bar, which has helped my hips be in a good position for that lockout, which is the place I usually struggled. If you watch a lot of my old deadlifts, they fly to the knees and it just stops. Whereas these are slower off the ground, but the movement's consistent all the way through. And it's just led to a massive improvement. So I got that for the comp PB. Now, my all-time PB before this comp was 250 kilos. And speaking to a friend who'd come and watch the competition beforehand, I'd said, you know, if everything feels really good, well, I might just stick 260 on and have a go. And at this point, I knew I'd won my category. My bench had put me 25, 30 kilos, I think it was, above the person who was in second. So I decided to go for it. The 247.5 moved really nicely. I decided to go for 260. And if it was stapled to the ground, never mind, I've won my category. You know, that last deadlift, in a lot of ways, should kind of be like that YOLO lift, just got to go for it. And I put 260 on the bar, went for it, and I hit it. Here's the video. And I hit it quite comfortably. Like, this is the first time I've ever thought that like big numbers could be possible in my deadlift for a long time, and it moves so well. And I'm honestly so over the moon that the changes I've made, the things that I've done have had this positive effect on my deadlift, and I really feel like I can grow now and challenge in this 125 class. So yeah, as I can say, I won the weight category, and as I say, I also won. So I won the weight category, and pulling that 260 also meant that I won best overall lifter in the opens class as well. So, which I've never done before, which was an amazing achievement, something I'm so happy about. And yeah, I feel really confident going into the next season of powerlifting. The other positive thing that comes from this as well is that I've qualified for British single lifts and I've qualified for British full power, which means that I don't have to compete again till May. So I've got a lovely long off season to again build that base so the pyramid's even higher. And I think some big things can come next year. I feel like if my squat keeps regressing, which obviously isn't guaranteed, I could have a 250, 260, maybe a 270 squat by the end of the year. You know, that's really pushing it out there, but I think it's not out of the realms of possibility. I definitely think the 250 is there. I think that would be a safe bet, but we'll see how far we can push it, which is exciting. And I can say it's the first time I've thought about lifts like this in a long time. So that's amazing. Bench 180. I feel like that 190, 195 could also be possible by the end of the year. And then for deadlifts, like the improvement is massive. It's huge. To basically not pull a deadlift PB for 3-4 years and then pull a 10 kg deadlift PB on the day as a last deadlift, you know, when you've gone through everything else in the competition, just felt amazing. But, you know, we'll see what comes. I'm really excited to get going into the next season. And what I would say as well, this season's only been as good because of how shit the season was before. If that season had been a little bit better, I probably wouldn't have changed things. I wouldn't have changed my training. I wouldn't have looked at different ways of approaching things, and I wouldn't have had all of these positive outcomes from it. So I'm obviously at the time it wasn't great, but now I'm so grateful for having such a shit year and being able to learn and grow from that. And I think that's the big thing in powerlifting. I think a lot of people have a bad meet or have a bad day or don't get what they want, and I've definitely done this. And you just feel downhearted, you don't feel like you want to do things. But what you really need to do is look at what went wrong and look at how you can improve that. And it's not a bad meet and it's not a failure if you use what you've learned in that meet to have a better meet next time. And that's what I've done. And I think that's what I've been able to pass on to clients as well. And hopefully so they can have the same kind of outcomes as well as they go along their powerlifting careers. But everyone in the sport is going to have bad meets and bad times, so it's all about learning from those times and taking the most from them that you can take into your next meet. So last things just to say in this video is obviously a massive thank you to the British Powerlifting Union as always. Fantastic meet, fantastically run. Same to Nottingham Strong as well. Great, this first time I competed in Nottingham Strong, it's fantastic. What a great place to compete. Everything ran smoothly, everything was great. Yeah, really good. Another big thanks to Ed Holt for helping with my wraps and for doing a lovely handout for bench and just being there to support us in general. Massive thank you to everyone at SSPC as well. Like being at a gym like SSPC where everybody just loves powerlifting, you just pick up so many little details and so many little things and see people doing in a certain way that you can then put into your training, and it just helps you advance massively in the sport as well, which is great. You just get to like pick up those little nitpicks. Like someone might say something and you might think, oh, that's amazing, I'll give that a try, or oh, that sounds interesting, we'll try that. And it just helps you progress and progress and progress and progress. Thank you to all the Iron Personal Training family and friends who came and watched and supported as well. You know, you're all fantastic and amazing, and thank you all for your support. But that's it for the video, guys. You know, very excited for what comes next in this powerlifting journey. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, and if you've got any questions, leave a comment. If you'd like to book any training, online training, programming, links in the description to my Instagram, and just DM me on there. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be the start of my off-season training. So I'll see you then.